Agenda is roll call. Octavia, will you do roll call?
Miss Renata Seals, Mr. Stephen Grady Muhammad,
Here.
Miss Barbara Rogel Miller,
Present.
Hubert Mapsey.
On his way.
Thank you. Temporarily excused, Miss Tanya Jenkins. Can you turn your mic on, please? Miss Tanya Jenkins,
Present.
Miss Nolita Haley,
Present.
Miss Kara Clementi,
Here.
and Chairman
We have-
Zaraka is temporary excused also. We have a quorum present.
We have a quorum. Okay, next is the approval of the agenda. We need a motion to approve the agenda and a second, and then we'll have discussion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion about the agenda? Anything that you want to delete? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Secretary. For the agenda, we do need to add under unfinished business. Our legal advisor was going to give us an update on the parking proposal.
And it's not on the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any discussion about the proposed amendment about the parking procedure? Okay, we'll have a vote on approval of the proposed amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried to add the parking procedure to the agenda. Is that a correct phrase? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is approval of the May 16th, our last meeting, to approve the minutes of that meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Steve Grady Mohammed to approve the minutes,
Second.
and second by whom?
Lolita Haley.
Lolita.
Okay, any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Same sign. The minutes have been approved.
Item number, for item number, we need to amend the agenda to add.
I can't hear her.
She needs to amend the agenda to add for item four.
For the unfinished business parking, we need to amend the agenda.
Oh, okay. And will you take care of that, Octavia?
Yes, may I have a
Thank you.
Go back to that.
I'm gonna go back to that.
Go back to B.
B is approval of the agenda.
Yes, I'm asking if we can make a motion to amend the agenda to add the parking policy.
We need a motion to amend the agenda. Will someone make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you very much, Hubert.
Second.
Second by Steve. Any discussion? Motion carried. And so the agenda is amended.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you very much, Octavia, for catching my error. Report from the chair. Betty is not here and I have no report. Unfinished business.
That would be the parking policy.
Madam Chair, before we move on, I'm sure if Chair Mizuraka were here, she would probably welcome our newest member,
Oh, of
Kara
course.
Clemente, and maybe give her an opportunity to say whatever's on her mind or heart.
That's right. We want to hear all about it.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. My name is Kara Clementi. I am a county commissioner right now in District 4, which is Lincoln Park, Melvindale, Ecorse, River Rouge, and parts of Detroit. And I am very honored to be on the Art Institute Authority with all of you. And I look forward to spending lots of great time learning about art and learning about all of you and how we can do great things for the people in Wayne County. I've been encouraging my district to make sure that they come to the Art Institute. I was a teacher before I became a legislator. So I had the DIA in my classroom. Lincoln Park, I know for a fact, has had the Institute murals in our city. E-course has also had the murals. So I think that art is very important for all aspects of life. It's something that enriches our brain. And recently there was a movie at the Institute highlighting the River Rouge basketball team, which was amazing. So I'm really excited to be here and thankful that I was selected.
And the Art Institute does a superintendent's day every year. So encourage the superintendents in your district to attend that superintendent's day. They're introduced to all of the aspects of the museum and encouraged to bring their schools into the Art Institute. So
Well, thank you for that, and I will make sure I make mention of, I know there's meetings throughout the county with superintendents, all of them there, so I'll make sure that gets to them.
thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
And we welcome you to the board. It's a wonderful board, and we learn and experience wonderful things. Okay, so where are we now? Report from the chair. We just did that. Unfinished business,
That will be the parking policy.
parking policy. And who will take care of the parking policy?
That will be our attorney, who has not arrived yet. So can we come back to that item?
Okay, because he's not here.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, okay. New business. First is the election of officers. We need a new vice chair. I am presiding over this meeting in the absence of Miss Misaraka, but I would like to make a nomination of Steve Grady Mohammed as our new vice chair. I need a second.
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you, Lolita. Any other nominations? Then the nominations are closed, and I move that by acclamation, we elect Steve Grady Mohammed. All in
Congratulations.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Steve.
Well deserved.
Approval of the resolution for levy and collection of the millage and the 2024 tax rate return request form. And I believe there's a copy of that in our packet. Not sure where it
Through
is.
the chair, there is a copy in the packet. It is, I'm gonna tell you how many pages down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the 8th page in. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay, very good. All right, I will. Okay, regarding the resolution, Octavia, is there anything that the board should make note of that's different in this resolution? Or is it a pretty standard resolution?
It's pretty standard.
Okay. Any questions on the resolution for the levy?
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I do see that our legal counsel has just arrived, and I don't know if he has any comments about the resolution for levy and collection of the millage. If there's anything that he want to share with us, I sure would like to hear it.
Yes.
Don't forget your mic, Todd.
And Madam Chair, if I could add, he's looking awfully natty today.
maybe that'll make up for me being late. I'm sorry, everyone.
Oh, you're okay.
If I could have 2 minutes, I know that this was forwarded to us by board member. Oh, she just told me that.
Count on Octavia.
Yes, we do.
Through the chair, Attorney Perkins, from what we understand from our administrative support, this is a very standard document that I think the authority has dealt with year over year. So I don't know if there's any changes in here or anything like that, but no changes at all.
I didn't see it. What I did do was I did look at some from prior years.
Yes.
Prior to, I think around the last time we had the last meeting, I did look at some prior to last year. And that was the only thing that I looked at was to see whether there's any changes other than the dates here. So I don't have any comments. I think it's worked in the past and I think it'll work for the purposes intended for this and in the future. Sorry. If it was not for Octavia, I wouldn't know where I'm going. Good morning, this honorable body. May it please this honorable body. My name is Todd Russell Perkins. I am your attorney and counselor for the board. As I was saying, I believe that this resolution is in fact the same, other than the dates. And like I said, it worked then, and I think it'll work now for those purposes. But I'm here if anyone had any particular question about anything, I could delve into that.
Are there any questions from board members for Mr. Perkins? Thank you. If there are no questions for Mr. Perkins, I will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution for the levy.
I, Tanya Jenkins, move that we adopt a resolution for the levy and collection of the millage.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? With no discussion, I will call for a vote on the resolution, on the motion to adopt the resolution. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say aye. There's no opposition. The motion is passed, for the levy is passed unanimously. The next.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we go on to the next item, since our attorney is here, would you like to go back to E, unfinished business, so he can give us an update on the parking issue?
Can I, well, I'll wait.
Mr. Perkins, would you address that question for Mr. Grady?
Yes, again, may it please this honorable body. I was given the task of preparing a resolution. We did prepare one. I could have it, if we are going to be in session, I could, apparently the printing is not working here, but since we're across the street, I could have someone walk it over for everyone to look at, but I can give you the highlights of that draft. It is a draft. We've been working, our office has been working back and forth over trying to capture. What we did want to do is, this was passed, at least I have had 3 to 4 board meetings with you all. So at least 3 to 4 board meetings, I believe it's been in place. So we did want to capture those people who have been diligent. You know, you're not paid for what you do. So we want to, and this has been something that I know Ms. Raka, everyone has really been asking for it. So what we did have was a provision in there that, okay, what it says is that we would allot it $20 per meeting, with a cap of $100, assuming that there were 5 meetings in a calendar year. I think it's 4 set, but 5. But we also, in that provision, added in there, because sometimes these meetings can go on and the parking could be more than $20. And if there's more than $20 upon production of the corresponding receipt, then that would be compensated. And if there's a necessity to have additional meetings that would put the aggregate amount over $100, then that could be compensated along with the receipts. The nuance, I think that's something that we had all agreed to, is $20 was the sort of boilerplate amount. But we did want to include, for the past, what we did was just, we took a number, and I took the, not necessarily arbitrary number, but I took 3 prior events. And we did say, be it resolved in light of the fact that this matter has been pending and was previously approved. I saw this matter as having been approved in spirit. And therefore, we just didn't have a resolution in place. I said, but without the specific details of the reimbursement, each board member shall have the opportunity to expense up to 3 parking events with no more than $20 per event upon the completion of an affidavit of payment, or to the extent that a receipt is unable to be produced. So I know that Mr. Colleen was indicating his concerns were, how could we, because this has to go to finance, and there has to be some captured event and showing, not just saying it, but something to document why this is being dispersed, even if it's just $20. So that was the document that we would have. It's an affidavit, and we could create the affidavit. It'd be very simple. And, you know, a person could just say, look, I was at this particular event, because it would correspond with the meeting events. And so we'd set 3 prior to today, we set 3 in the past, so that board members could collect and capture that amount. And it doesn't have to be $20. It could be what, maybe your parking was $12. You know, but what you recall, or to the extent what you remember.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? Any
Through the chair.
questions? Yes,
Yes, ma'am. I was very, very satisfied with that summary of the work that you've done. And I don't think that you got to go back to your office to get your documentation with agreement. I think an email would be fine
Okay.
to us.
I believe that our team has a copy.
I can display it on the screen.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay with you guys?
Yeah. It's already on its way. Okay.
You have a very efficient team, sir.
Well, you know, this team too. Yeah,
and you're close. That helps.
yes, it does.
Madam Chair, I think you recognize.
Yes.
Commissioner
I-
Clemente.
Just to, since I was not here, I did read about the parking, and just where does that come from, to pay for the parking? You guys have
We put it in the budget.
oh, you put it in your budget. Okay, perfect. I didn't get that far. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Any other concerns? Now, do we need to vote on it again? Do we
Through
need
the
to,
chair,
yes,
Yes.
I think that we vote on it now? Okay.
I think you're voting on the actual resolution, not the actual that you're being paid.
right,
Yes. the
okay,
resolution.
not on the parking, but on the
The
on
doc-
The rest.
document, okay,
I move to approve the resolution.
okay, and is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. Motion is carried. Okay, the next item is approval, number 3. Approval of the 2023 audit and invoice from Allen C. Young and Associates. Any discussion?
Through the chair,
Yes,
just to go through the process, I'll move to approve.
okay, and is there a second?
Support.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
We have a second. Now the discussion,
Yes.
Steve?
Through the chair, and I think we have our representative here who conducted the audit. It's a very good job. I just have a question about on page 8 of the audit in the expenditures. And it lists distributions to Detroit Institute of Arts, 9,541,785. But there's no information in the audit of the breakdown of what those expenditures are, nor when they occurred. I don't believe that we just gave the DIA a $9.5 million check and there was no background information of what that went for, what we were doing. So that's my concern with the audit.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Jan Kutsenkov. I'm a senior audit manager at Allen Young and Associates. Mr. Mohammed, there were approximately 15 payments. The tax levy is done on December 1st of each year. And then majority of the collections are in February, March, and October. For the first 6 months of the year, there is on average 2 payments per month made to the Detroit Institute of Arts. Then in the end of June, there is a payment that is for delinquent taxes. And for the latter part of the year, there is usually one payment made to the Institute every other month. That's because majority of the taxes are collected during right after the taxes being levied.
Does that satisfy your question?
Not really. I do understand what he's saying, but I would like to see some type of breakdown of the amounts that were expended. To be honest with you, I really want to know $9.5 million, how was it spent? You took our money, how was it spent? I know that's not something that you sort out.
The way this authority is set up is in place to transmit the money to the Detroit Institute of Arts. So the county collects the money, the responsibility is to oversight the transmission to the Detroit Institute of Arts. Our scope is to audit the authority, not the Detroit Institute of Arts. So once the money are transmitted, they're collected for the purpose to be transferred to the Detroit Institute of Arts. And once the money, your job is to make sure that the money collected from the taxpayers are transferred to the Detroit Institute of Arts. Our responsibility, our scope is not to look at what the actual Detroit Institute of Arts does their own with their money.
You understand that, Mr. Muhammad?
Through the chair, yes, ma'am, I do understand. I would like to get some advice from legal as it relates to what we can do to get more detail about when these payments were made and how much was made for each payment that totals up to 9,541,785.
Well, I think a simple task would be, if I may.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry for being so forward. But I think that what you're asking for is a more particular breakdown rather than an amalgam or aggregate of what was done. So perhaps it's done on a quarterly basis, perhaps it's done, and I don't know if the DIA, because I don't know the functions of the DIA and how they expense or draw down the $9.5 million. So it may be something to that effect, or maybe you'd use it per department, that draws it down, because I know the DIA takes in the money as a house, but I think that they designate within their own internal mechanisms. Are we entitled to that information?
That's what I'm.
Is the key. I think we've been entitled to the breakdown, what Brother Auditor has given us today. I think we would be entitled to more breakdowns per year, because this is an annual,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But whether or not we have, pursuant to our agreements with, the DIA, do we have, some introspective into their, how they use the money, other than what, how they use the money, sorry, how they use the money other than what we've outlined in our agreement with them. So I don't think that asking for a breakdown of 4 times per year versus just the annual is too obtuse. But I would defer to you. If I may,
Can I add into that?
Surely.
All right.
Please
So-
go ahead.
So basically, that might be something that you can do on internal basis. I didn't get a chance to go to my presentation, but an audit, we clearly state each responsibilities. The financial statements are responsibility of management. Management prepares that information and has it readily available on a more regular basis. We express an opinion that these actual amounts are materially stated, which we have performed audit procedures to verify that. But if you need something more detailed, that might be something that you would inquire from management. Maybe they can present a report on a quarterly basis or on a whatever.
Madam Chair, if I could. I was wondering, is it possible that when these checks are distributed throughout the year, that we could be made aware by the auditing firm so that as we have questions throughout the year, we don't have to wait until the end of the year and sitting here like we are now without information and being redirected to the DIA to tell us information. My concern is if a check is distributed and it's not matching up with what we're doing throughout the year, we could just have the information, but something at the end of the year, as we do every year, moving forward, I was wondering if we could be more detailed throughout the year, even if it's just understanding how much the check was and when it was distributed to the DIA.
Madam Chair?
Would you like to respond?
Absolutely. So that would be something outside of the scope of an audit. We can definitely provide attestation services that can do that. We can inform the board on a more regular basis. However, that would not be a audit procedure. That would be outside of the audit procedure. We can, as I said, we can provide an agreed upon procedures, which is going to be a different type of attestation engagement where we can look at the individual payments when they are processed. But an audit is an annual event that we making sure that the summarized financial information for the year and at year end is correct. And that's what we present in an audit.
Any comments or questions?
Excuse me. Secretary Miller, we have our Commission Counsel Felicia Johnson on the line. She wishes to speak.
I can't hear you.
We have Commission Counsel Felicia Johnson on Zoom call. She would like to speak.
Yes.
Good morning to this honorable body. I'm Felicia Johnson, attorney for the County Commission. As you know, I have assisted this body in the past and in fact assisted with, I believe, this particular audit contract with Alan C. Young. So just to add a few comments, with regards to the distribution, we can make a request to the treasurer's office who issues those checks, because that's not necessarily something the auditor would have throughout the year, but we can definitely make a request to the treasurer's office to notify the board whenever a distribution is made. And also the contract with the audit firm was only to audit the actions of the authority. The firm does not audit anything related to how the money is spent or anything related to the DIA specifically, only with regards to your actual actions, because that is the requirement of state law.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Thank you so very much, Commission Counsel. We appreciate that clarification. I guess a concern that I have is on page 5, it talks about under governmental activities. The authority's governmental revenues increased by $513,192 from 2022 to 2023. So essentially, the Art Institute got over $500,000 extra that we don't know what happened with it. And I know that's not your issue. You're just making us aware that there was an extra $500,000 that was available to be distributed to the DIA. But I guess on our end, we're wondering, okay, you had an extra $500,000, what'd you do with it? Because maybe that could have been applied to the service agreement, or I don't know. We don't know.
Any further discussion? Any comment from board members?
What was that? I would love to, if the, Madam Chair, would you like me to go through the entire audit presentation? Because we jumped into the deep end,
I
but
think that's appropriate at this time. Thank you.
thank you. I would start with some required communications, and then I'll go over the numbers. On page 3 of the presentation is where we defined each responsibilities both in our engagement letter and in our audit report. The financial statements are responsibility of the management, and our responsibility is to express an opinion based on our audit that these financial statements are free of material misstatement. And so we issued an opinion, which was an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion. We believe that the numbers presented in the financial statements are free of material misstatements. We conducted our audit based on the auditing standards accepted in the United States. And I want to bring your attention to the last bullet where our goal is to obtain a reasonable but not absolute assurance, which means that we're not looking at every single transaction. We plan our audit accordingly to make sure that we catch any material misstatements, but we do not look at every single transaction. On the next page, page number 6, we have conducted our audit and fulfilled our scope set forth in our engagement letter. We have had full cooperation from management. All the significant accounting policies are disclosed in footnote number 2 of the financial statements, and we believe those have been applied consistently over the years, and there are no new accounting policies during the year. These accounting policies, we believe they're neutral and, as I said earlier, consistently applied. We have had no disagreement with management, and to the best of our knowledge, they have not engaged another CPA firm. Next, I'm going to move on to the numbers. Due to the nature of how the authority is set up, all the money that are collected are being transferred to the Detroit Institute of Arts. So at December 31st, 2023 and 2022, there was no assets or liabilities or net position at year end. On the next page, we have the actual activity during the year. The taxes collected were approximately $9.5 million. And of that, $9.5 million was transferred to the Detroit Institute of Arts, and there was professional fees of almost $14,000. So as you see on the bottom, all the money that were collected were transferred out. And that's basically the summary of all the financial transactions and balances at year end. If anybody have any questions, I'm more than happy to address those.
Yes,
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I'm looking at here, and what I think we're seeing is an increase in taxes. So it might be saying in the governmental activities that there was a revenue increase in 2023, but it looks like they spent that money at the DIA. So we are at zero now. So because, and we're going to see it again this year coming up in 2024 because of property values have gone up. So we're going to see another increase. So I don't think it's money that is just sitting because from what I understand, I'm not an accountant, but there's a zero balance. So all monies that have come in, they have expended. Is that correct?
Madam Chair?
yes.
So basically, the role of the authority is to collect the money and transfer them to the DIA.
Mhm.
How DIA
How I
has
see this. Okay.
spent it, and if they spent all the amounts, that is, out.
It's them. Okay.
Since you provide them the money, you probably do have some sort of a leverage to reach out to somebody at the DIA. And this is an unofficial kind of statement, but I'm sure the folks at the DIA will be able to provide you with some information as how the money is spent.
So the 513 is an increase because of taxes that we collected that are more than the year before. No.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I can provide a little bit of detail.
Okay.
Actually, if we go to the footnote number 2 of how the, which would be on page 10,
Okay.
what page are you directing us to?
number 10, ma'am. Of the audit report, not of the presentation. I'm so sorry. Because you were looking at the right thing. Madam Chair was not.
I'm okay.
Yes.
I need all this help.
That's all right. That's all right. You got a lot on you. That's
Yeah,
okay.
there's a
We
lot of
got you back.
things.
Okay, thank you. And then
Page-
what page in this?
And this one?
Yes, right over here. Page 10 of the audit report, of the draft audit report that we're presenting. And the actual presentation. But I can just summarize that. So
Please go ahead.
at the end of 2022, December 1st, 2022, the property values that were the property tax was assessed on was approximately 47 billion. I'm sorry, that's with a B, it's a big number, and $47,877,000,000 of properties were levied with millage of almost 0.2, which is the maximum set by the voters' authorization, which resulted in taxes of approximately $9.5 million. We got to keep in mind that there are some delinquent taxes that are coming in also that were not collected in 2022 for the 2021 property tax levy, which are added, which are approximately actually a little over $500,000 as well.
Through the chair.
Yes.
So basically what you're telling us is the $500,000 that's been happening year over year is taxes that were collected after the disbursement to,
Mm,
May I respond?
please.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I just want to chime in. I think we're all saying the same thing. And what happens is a mill or it's a percentage of whatever the value is. So as the property values increase, the amount that's going to go to the commensurate amount that's going to go to the DIA is also going to increase. So where your concern is, well, what are you doing with this additional $500,000, which is an absolutely legitimate question. it's just the process by which monies are collected that it's going to grow. And Madam Council was indicating before, she says, look, you think $500,000 is much? It's going to probably be another 500,000 or $1 million perhaps because of the increase in property values. So it's not just like you have just opened your coffers up and given the DIA more money. It's just pursuant to the manner in which the money is collected that happens. Now, should they be more accountable in different things? And should you be able to say, look, because you're getting more money, we should allot and ask them to allot more money. And they've indicated that they'll be freely open to the idea of reforming the agreement. And they've said that before because we've gone through a lot of processes to get to having an agreement with them. And they said they're open to that idea. But we also have to be mindful of the fact that what happens if property values drop? We have to work with them too. So, and so that's something, but I think it's a legitimate thing that it could easily be overlooked if you weren't watching it. But I think that's how it comes. And I agree with everything they've said. I just think that looking at it that way, or looking at it as the fact that it's a process, not just you all giving them more money. It's just more money to go around.
Where does the delinquent, the taxes that are delinquent that are paid the following year, where do they show up?
That's a him question.
So you recognize your revenue as it's collected. So, as, money gets collected, as they get transferred to the state for collections, the county receives those fundings for the previous years, and those also get transferred during the year, as they're coming in.
But they are in the audit.
Correct. It's all taxes, taxes collections.
Are there any more questions or concerns? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that our commission counsel, Felicia Johnson, made a good point that maybe if we are interested, we should be getting some reports from the treasurer. That way we could see when and how monies are kind of coming in. So that might be something that we might want to work on. Thank you.
And when do you envision that we would request that from?
So I think that we can, Felicia, are you still there?
Good morning, I am. I've already asked staff to email the treasurer's office, our contacts, to request notification. And once it comes through our office, through administratively, they will forward it to board members.
Thank you very much, Felicia.
Thank
It's
you.
already taken care of.
Are we ready to move on, or is there more discussion?
Chair, ma'am,
Yes.
I just want to thank our auditor for bringing it to our attention of the ebb and flow of the amount of money that has been transferred over to the DIA. This will cause us to have some additional questions, but thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Madam Chair? Madam
Yes.
Chair, I would also like to thank the board for the opportunity to be here to present and perform the audit for the art authority.
You have been very helpful and we're very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? And so are we ready to move on?
Excuse me. Secretary Miller, we have Scott Vandermerker on the line. He's the Director of Equalization Assessment Online. If you would like him to speak to item number 2, the
Yes,
resolution for
we
later.
would. That would be great.
Scott?
We lose him?
Trying to get him to unmute. He's here. 1 second.
Is that working? Is the microphone on now?
We can hear you now, Scott. Thank you.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Yeah, the unmute wasn't coming through. Okay, good morning. My name is Scott Vandenmergo, and I'm the Director of Assessment and Equalization. I've been asked to say a word or two regarding the resolution that I prepared for the use of the board for the 2024 millage levy. I would echo before I mention anything, I would echo the sentiments from a moment ago regarding the ebb and flow of the tax revenue from one tax year to another, and then how things naturally increase over time with the gross revenues from inflation and from the increase in property values. So that would be a natural trend upward in an appreciating real estate market, which we most definitely have had the past several years. As far as the millage request and resolution for levy, the document reflects the millage from last year and as reduced by the Headley Amendment as is required for millage reduction fraction. And then it results in the new millage request for this year. So that's been done in accordance with the State Tax Commission's policies for millage rate computation and preparation. And that also reflects the maximum allowable millage under the enabling legislation.
Are you finished?
Yes, I am. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board? Yes.
Scott, when will taxpayers see that millage? Is it the summer taxes they see?
In this case, it's levied on the winter tax bill always. That
Okay.
winter tax bill date is always December 1st.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, so that will start in several months from now. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I think we're ready to move on. And that would be, what are we on, 3?
Item G, such other matters. Item G.
G, such other matters as, yes,
Madam Chair, I apologize. I think that we have to approve the audit.
oh, the audit.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, we do have a motion approval. It was a motion by you.
Oh, so we were in
second by-
discussion.
Yes.
Oh, very
Ms.
good.
Frank
Okay.
Jenkins.
So
Now we're ready to move on to G.
if we end discussion, then we can have the approval vote for
Or 3.
3, yes.
Okay, is there any more discussion on 3? The 23 audit and invoice from Allen C. Young and Associates. Is there any more discussion on that? Well, then our next item is to approve the audit. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the audit.
We have a
Madam
motion.
Chair, we're approving the audit and the invoice.
And there is a motion on the floor by Mr. Stephen Gravy and Muhammad, and so second by Ms. Tanya Jenkins.
Okay, so then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, thank you very much. Any opposition by the same sign? No opposition, the motion is approved. And now we're on G, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the board.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Grady.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Mohammed, sorry.
I want to thank my colleagues for having faith and confidence in me to be the vice chair of the authority. I was, and I'm using that word, the corresponding secretary, of which I'm resigning from that because that's just too much to do. So what I would like to do is to put that post back on the table. And I would like to nominate Member Seals to be our correspondent.
Mohammed, I think that
Mhm.
we could take care of it best at our next meeting because we have other elections at the next meeting.
For the next meeting, we'll be voting on the chair and the secretary at our August 12th
Hmm.
meeting. The terms currently
And so we
expire.
can add corresponding secretary to that.
Mhm.
Is that satisfactory?
That's gonna leave us without a corresponding secretary until that time, is kind of what my concern is.
Octavia, do you see a problem with that?
No, ma'am.
No, there's no
No, there's no
problem with that.
problem.
That's what you think. Because,
No
you know,
problem.
my concern is this, when the DIA engages in correspondence with us, it's crucial for them to adhere to established chain of command to make sure the proper communication flow and integrity is maintained. When they send information to the Arts Authority and it doesn't come through the corresponding secretary, that is not necessarily the correct process. But by following the hierarchical structure, the DI ensures that all relevant information is accurately conveyed, vetted, and authorized at each level, maintaining professional standards and fostering a cohesive and respectful relationship with the Arts Authority Board. So that's why it's so important to have that position going forward. You all are trying to make me do it along with being the vice chair. I won't forget you.
Well, you'll have no choice. Any more discussion on the issue of waiting to elect the corresponding secretary until the next meeting?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to put the motion on the floor and my colleagues can either vote it up or vote it down. I
Don't
move,
have any problem with that.
okay, I move that we select
Second. And who is the second by? Lolita? Any discussion? So we'll have a vote. All in favor of electing the corresponding secretary today, say aye.
aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. And so now we're waiting for a nominee for that spot.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
We need to also state for the term for the corresponding secretary.
So
You
I
guys
need
are
to
one-
amend my motion
Yes, sir.
to state for the term of corresponding secretary. Do you know when it was going to expire? For whenever it was
August
going to
27th.
expire, August 27th of this year.
So it would be for just these few short months?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then that spot will be up again when we re-elect the chair and the secretary and the corresponding. So then they'll be on the table at the next meeting for the following year. This election today is just for the few months.
If that's what the board wishes, but it can commence for 1 year if you'd like.
Through the chair, I'd like to amend my motion for that election of corresponding secretary to be for 1 year. Is that correct?
From today.
1 year from today? Is that good, legal advisor?
Yes,
I believe that you are following to the T, Robert's rules, and you're able to configure it. I don't think it runs afoul of any rules. To that extent, we still have next board meeting, and I'll put that on my task to discern whether or not. But I don't see anything running afoul as of right now. No.
so we can move ahead. Okay, are you going to amend your motion?
I'm going to amend my motion to, for us to vote on corresponding secretary, and that term would last 1 year from today. Is that correct? I know she's on the phone. Yes, ma'am. I would like to amend my motion that we would elect a corresponding secretary today, and that term would last 1 year from today. So what's the date today?
June 24th.
June 24th, 2024 to June 24th, 2025.
June 23rd,
23.
2025.
June 23.
June 23.
Sorry.
That's an actual year, right? Okay, 2025.
Is there a second on that motion?
I second that motion.
Lolita Haley is the second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. No opposition, the motion is carried.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to nominate Member Seals to take over as corresponding secretary for the next year.
Is there a second to that motion? We have a second to the motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion is carried.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to first thank my mother. You know, she is, no, I'm just kidding.
Will your father be offended?
Ladies first, ladies first.
Okay. We're ready to move on to G. Is that right, Octavia? I'm looking to you for direction. Such other matters as may be properly submitted before the board. Any-
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't see a point where I could make a statement like this, but I want to thank you for your leadership in taking over this meeting in absence of our chair.
How kind of you.
You've
Thank
done a
you.
very, very good job. Thank you so very
Thank
much. We
you.
appreciate it.
For somebody inexperienced as being chair. Thank you. Any other matters? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, I'm sorry, excuse me, Secretary Miller.
Oh,
we
you have
public
another
comments.
matter?
No, we have public comments.
Oh, sorry. Public comment. Oh, and I beg your pardon, any public comment, Octavia?
I do apologize. I did want to let the record reflect that our chair, Ms. Araka, was excused for today.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And I have no one on Zoom wanting to make a comment under public comments.
So I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Is there anyone in the audience, just for house rules, that would like to make a public comment?
I didn't know that we had an audience.
Got to say it.
There's no one on Zoom. There's no one on the telephone wishing to make a public comment. Now we can move on to item I, adjournment.
So moved, and is there a second?
Second. Third.